Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to the SVP. As always, I'm your boy Prime. Once again, we are blessed with the presence of my guys, Didge and Joel. Fellas, how you doing this morning?
Doing
What
good.
up? What up?
Oh,
How y'all feeling?
tired, but doing good, man.
Yeah,
Same.
you talking about being tired. I was telling Joel before we came on. I don't know what's up with me this morning, but I'm dragging, trying to get myself together. You would think like today is New Year's Day, and I went out for New Year's Eve or something like. I'm trying to get this coffee in me or whatever and get going, but I haven't quite reached that point yet.
Not quite.
I get that, man. I got to get my sleep schedule back. Work next week is going to be awful.
uh, I got one more day, man. Let me enjoy it.
Seriously, I gotta hope I can get that schedule back tonight, because man,
Ooh, I'm not
It'll
looking
be
forward
rough.
to
Hey, either one of you guys got plans for the night, man?
I know I'm just gonna go over to my cousin's house. I think I don't know if it's like a full on party. I really hope it's not a full on party. He said get together. So who knows what that really means, but nothing. I'm hoping it's more low key than anything.
that. Right.
I feel
Yes.
you on that. I'm gonna be right here.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I want to be right here, just be at home.
I'm
Be
playing it
right.
by ear. I'm playing it by ear. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I haven't made up my mind how my day's gonna go yet. Do I want to tip out of here for a couple of hours or not and watch football or just stay in the house? But tonight, I'm gonna be right here. I don't mess around. I might have a few. I got the drinks on deck. I got everything I need. Like I say,
Right.
I got to tell Source every year if the man gonna pull me over, it's gonna be in my recliner. He gonna come in my house. So,
Taking no chances. Take no chances.
I ain't taking no chances, man.
Don't
So
blame me.
that's what it's gonna be. And shout out to Source. I don't even know if Source is back. Source went out to the Peach Bowl yesterday.
Oh, damn.
So
Ooh.
yeah, he sent me a joint him driving down what's that 85 point whatever it is. And I said, yeah, he's gone. So he made it. We didn't think he was gonna make it, but he made it down. So shout out to my guy.
That was a good game too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And shout out to all the Niner fans, man. All of you that's heading up 95 or already up there to go see the Niners and the Commanders get it in. Shout out to the OG, my guy Don, especially. I said he's already there. Don, the game doesn't stop another hour and a half or so. I guarantee you, Don is at least 2 beers deep already in the parking lot. They probably got some hen mixed, hidden in the bottle somewhere, and they
Oh
ready to
God.
get live. Yeah, so
Don't waste
shout out
no
to my
time.
guy,
Oh.
no doubt. Hey, fellas, so we got a lot to talk about today, man. Football wise, got some great basketball news. All of us are NBA fans. Two of us, of course, are diehard New York Knicks fans. So we definitely gonna touch on that once we're done with the NFL. But what I want to start with is, of course, it wasn't the original plan. It wasn't the original plan, but we got to talk about. Did either one of you guys see a game last night between the Cowboys and the Lions?
Yeah.
Bits and pieces. I saw bits and pieces.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. It was a game whereas the Cowboys, as we've seen in previous weeks, had actually lots of chances to kind of maybe put some distance between them early, just turning the ball over inside the 5 and all types of stuff. And it turned into a game in which, I'm not gonna lie, the Cowboys normally lose those games when they bumble opportunities. But that's neither here nor there. The big deal is the blown call at the end of the game, which has caused a lot of controversy last night and this morning. And what I really found funny is a lot of people who spent half their night on Facebook in all these places going at the Dallas Cowboys. None of them are Detroit Lions fans. So it's okay to be upset because it's the game is probably not called the right way or there was a mishap or whatever. But come on, y'all just going crazy. But I know this one guy's still a fan. He was all night. I checked the last time he posted. It had to have been about like 4:00 this morning. He's still going. Okay, we get it. But Diz, what was your thoughts on what happened at the end of that game last night?
It definitely first off was a missed call. it's interesting because what was it? 70, I forgot his last name, but he said I didn't go in, I didn't say it. 68 was like I went in, I reported. The coach was like, I told them pregame, this is what we're going to do. And I can't see three people all saying the same story. Granted, sure, they're going to be a little biased because they're all Detroit. And even at one point, you can see Jared Goff trying to tell 68, like, yo, go report. So I definitely think it was a blown call. The thing that's the most interesting to me, though, is that the Dallas fans who are just like, the refs call it how the refs call it, when earlier in the game, you guys are all, every time Michael Parsons gets held, because Michael Parsons doesn't get held, it's the refs have it out for us, It can't be the refs have it out for us in one sentence, and then the refs call it how the refs call it later in the day in the game because it went for y'all. That's the thing that's just the most interesting for me.
Well, it's interesting to me because in most of my circles, I didn't see that many Cowboy fans really defending, what happened. And from what
there's a bunch of my friends. That's all. I
have friends saw one or two people, and I one of them, I hate to say it because I think they really know as much about football as they think they do, right? And how things operate and what the rules are. And I hate to say it, but it's no biggie, no here, no there. Why I love the Dallas Cowboys. I've made no bones about it. Source will tell you that I probably only like about 20% of the Cowboy fans that exist in the world. So I'm not a fan of my own people.
No,
I have no problem telling you that, because some of us are outrageous, they ridiculous with it. So, but I didn't see a whole lot of that on my end, even in some of the Cowboy groups that I'm still in that I haven't taken myself out of yet. But look, Michael Parsons legitimately gets.
Yeah, he does, and that's the thing. He gets held for sure. It's just, and so like I understand their grievance, but I understand why they complain about the refs in that instance. It was just it was just really funny. Yeah. And the people who I know who are doing this, they're going to be biased, but it was so funny to see that. But I do definitely, like I said, it was for sure a missed call. But refs have been missing calls all year. It was just another bad call and string of bad calls.
Got a comment right here from my bro Arvin Jackson. Good morning, folks. I counted 4 missed holding calls on Parsons. Stop talking about Cesar Gonzalez. Hey, AJ, I said the person that stopped posting about 4 this morning. Caesar's still going at it this morning. Okay. Chargers fans shouldn't have anything to say about football the rest of the season.
Hey, man, they got to have something to have hope in.
So I talk about somebody else. I talk about the Steelers fans. Caesar's still going at it, bro, so that definitely was Caesar. Joel, what was your thoughts, man, on that situation last night?
I didn't get to see that. I'm like trying to see it now, but I'm still very confused at exactly what happened, because I think that was the point, was to confuse the ref. I mean, to confuse the other team, and they ended up confusing the ref instead, probably. And so I'm still confused myself. So I don't really know what happened.
This thing is crazy. Like right here, you can clearly see who he's like. Look who's by the ref. How did he pick the other guy to be the person who will report it?
Let me tell you what's funny about this is, and I totally agree with you, Didge. I watched it again a couple of times this morning, a little bit slower. And I know it's hard to tell from this picture, and I'm not excusing what happened. But what's crazy is when you watch it, it's almost like the ref is just like, yeah, like whatever. He's kind of side-eyed over at 70 walking towards him, though. On this picture, it looks like he's looking directly at 68.
Yeah.
If you watch it again, it kind of looks like he's side-eyed over to 70. And it may gel with what he said, because he said that during the course of the game, a few times 70 had come in and reported to him and told him that he was eligible. He was reporting in, right? So what I think happened, I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, but what I honestly think happened, the ref dropped this. I think the ref just assumed. So these guys over here, I don't know what they were saying or what was going on up there at 68. The guy who was supposed to be reporting is eligible, and the guy beside him, if it was supposed to be a confusion thing, so Dallas would look over there and be like, well, they got 3 guys going over there. We got to keep an eye on whatever.
I think that's what happened.
But I think with 70, it came in. Ref said, oh, here we go again. He's just going to report eligible. You know what I'm saying? That he's reporting eligible as he's been. as he's done 2 or 3 times his game and just kept it moving. I think the ref had a bit of brain fog on this one.
Oh,
this
sure.
is the thing though. This is the thing that nobody is discussing, and I want to make this clear. This has nothing to do with my Dallas Cowboy fandom, because everybody say that outside the fact that some people wanted Dan Campbell and the Lions to kick the field goal and tie the game up. People saying that definitively this play lost in the game, and I would say no. Now I'm gonna tell you why. You do know when immediately what happens. I wish I had the video. When the referee does whatever he does or hears whatever he hears or whatever happens in this play, he immediately walks over to the Dallas Cowboys and talks to their players, letting them know that somebody's eligible, right? Now, he might have gave them the wrong name or the wrong number, right?
Right.
But if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're going by what the referee tells you, okay? You're going by, okay, this is the guy that's reporting eligible, right? On the other end of the line, the guy who was actually eligible, 68, was supposed to have been the eligible guy, ends up uncovered, all right? And you can't do that if it was reported correctly. You can't do that, right? This is my thing. Do we not think that once it's reported to them that 68 was tackle eligible on this play, that somebody for the Dallas Cowboys at least makes an attempt to cover it? You see what I'm saying? So this doesn't do it justice. I had the video, but if you get a chance to see it, Joel, immediately after this play, the ref walks over to the Dallas Cowboys and tells him that even though it's probably it was the wrong player, that 70 is reporting, right? He tells him that 70 is reporting on this play, right? So the Cowboys, for whatever reason, some of them might be confused by the way they were set up. Like, okay, I'm going with the ref said. The ref says 70. Okay, the ref says 70. Ref ain't say nothing about 68. 68 ends up uncovered on this play. All right. He's the one that catches the touchdown, that catches the conversion that was overturned. Right.
Wow.
So my thing is this. All I'm saying is you can't 100% say that definitely cost them the game. It cost them a shot at winning that football game. You see what I'm saying?
Didn't help. Right.
It cost them
for sure didn't help.
Yeah, it cost them a shot at winning that football game. And okay, check it out.
Okay.
What up, bro?
What's going on?
How you feeling, man? Long time.
Glad to be here. New Knicks was going to be talked about, so I had to make an appearance.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
God.
We go.
Family.
As soon as we skate through this NFL, we are definitely going to talk about the Knicks. But that's just my point on this play here. Joe, like I said, I'm going to get a chance to pull it up yet. It was horrible. And the refs got to take ownership, I believe. But at the end of the day, anybody that plays football knows that once the ref has to tell the defense who the eligible player is.
Right.
As horrible as the Dallas Cowboys can be at times, I'm quite sure they're at least smart enough to understand that they would have said 68 was eligible, right? Somebody would have been, in that area of where 68 lined up. That's all I'm saying. And then we could go back to the fact too is, I know, 2 + 2 don't equal 6 and all this, but
this is true.
There were some other plays too, especially before this on one of the interceptions, and then of course the play that he had a chance to still should have won the game anyway on a 2-point conversion. Goff does put the ball in a bad place where the receiver should have easily scored, right? So my thing is, it cost them a chance to win this football game. It didn't 100% cost them the game. You got it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't 100% cost them the game because we don't know what would have happened if Dallas knew or was reported that 68 was the guy.
I think it was just more so also the timing where the flag came out. Like, I was rewatching the broadcast. They're celebrating. The Dallas players are looking in disbelief. Everybody's sort of going about it as if the game was like, all right, well, we need to get ready for the next thing. And then like 45 seconds later, it was, oh yeah, but there's a flag out. And it's like, that's what made it kind of weird. Because everything else you said is right. All of that is correct. but it was just the timing of the flag.
So wait, so the 68 was ineligible, is what you're saying? Because
he was supposed to be reporting.
he was supposed to be eligible
back.
player.
Yeah,
they didn't block him, so he ended up catching a touchdown. And they're like, "Nah, he was ineligible." But
Yeah,
he was right in front of the ref. Like
that's what made it. That's
Okay,
just like I
all
said.
right.
That's just what makes it weird. You are completely correct. Like, who's to say if Dallas would have gotten told the
he
right
still might have
person,
scored.
they
But they
still
would
might have.
attempted to cover him, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and they might not have, and we wouldn't be talking about this.
Was that a lineman?
But it was it was an offensive lineman.
Wow.
It was just the fact that they took like 45 seconds to be like, oh no, but by the way, there's a flag, and it was just like it rubbed me the wrong way. But like I said, refs have been making bad calls all year. It was just a string and another bad call.
Indeed.
Sure.
Juwan, did you see it?
I did. I don't really disagree with Didge, but any good coach is going to tell you it didn't come down to that moment. If you executed a little bit better in the first half, not even just first quarter, first half. I think halftime was 3-7. Was me and Didge were talking about it.
I thought
10-10. Oh, what was the first quarter 3-7?
Yeah, that was first
quarter.
Okay,
so you play a little bit better in the first quarter. I mean, I know some things you can't plan for, but you had to know what to expect from Micah Parsons, and he was getting through. So there's just certain things. A good coach is going to go back to that locker room and tell them, don't point to that. Was it egregious? 100%. I mean, that photo of the player looking the ref right in the eyes is crazy. But a good coach will tell you it didn't come down to that. There were things we didn't execute well, and you got to execute things like that. So
it's like making your free throws,
Right, 100%, 100%. So I mean, if you're the Lions, to me, this is good. Not how you lost, but how this game went. Because as you head to the playoffs, it's not going to get any easier. You're going to see the likes of Dallas, 49ers, guys that have really great edge rushers, and you're just going to have to adjust. So.
Yeah. So the refs got to take ownership, though. And I agree with everything else. He got to take ownership. And I just want, like I say, my whole thing is, the recap with me is just the fact that, hey, regardless of what happened, as egregious as it was and how bad as it was, you still have to think about, at least on the Cowboys' end, everything in me believe they make an attempt to at least recognize that the ball could go to 68.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If it was announced correctly and they attempt to make the adjustment. Russ still might catch the football and get the 2-point conversion, right? He still might, or something else happens in that play. Somebody peels off to take him and that leaves somebody else open. So that's all I'm saying about that. Because they would know.
That's interesting because usually when you watch the broadcast, you can hear the ref say, 68 is eligible. You usually hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So for, clearly that ref, I guess, I don't know what was going on. He had a lot going on that day. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you can tell, and you can see, though, like I was telling Nick before you hopped on, you can see immediately after when the ref walks over, he walks directly over to the Dallas Cowboy players. And he's telling them, when we find out, that 70 is eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So they're reacting according to what they're being told. You see what I'm saying? They never say anything about 68.
Right.
So it's just crazy and unfortunate, man. The way we're being that we're already at a state where people thinking games are rigged, and the refs have been absolutely horrible this year anyway. You can go back to like Kadarius Toney situation and a bunch of other things. Like the refs are having a time this year for real.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you guys about this then. Another thing, of course, it's been going on for the past couple of weeks anyway, but things really hit early this week. And that was the situation with Russ. Russ is getting benched, right? Russell Wilson is going into today as the number 2 quarterback behind Jarrett Stidham. And this whole thing, it just kind of had me fired up because my whole thing is this. You saw, what was it, it was after the Lions game when you're during the Lions game when Sean Payton is absolutely laying into Russell Wilson on the sideline for everybody to see this. And I put a little thing out on TikTok and I was talking about it, and I was getting some things back of people talking about, come on, he makes over $200 million a year. He's a man, he can take it. He's he's football. Things happen like that on the field, bro. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the third. Nah, you don't dress down your quarterback in that fashion on the sideline with everybody watching. And then you come back and lie about it and say that he was just mad at the play. He lied about that. But what's even deeper for me, and Ryan Clark laid out the other day exactly what I've been thinking the whole time. He's had it out for Russ and this situation from day one, bro. From day one. Because if you remember when he first got there, we were hearing all this stuff about he was telling them about, he stopped being so nice to people and stop doing this, stop making all these public appearances. He took away some of Russ's privileges, which that supposedly Russ asked for and the Broncos had given him. And I don't have a problem if that's what you want to do. Right. But all this stuff is getting out. And I've always had the feeling that out of respect for Sean Payton, let me say that. And I'm that guy that I'm not one of those soft guys that every time somebody does something I don't like, that I automatically lose respect for. I'm one of the last people. People are talking about they lost respect for Patrick Mahomes because he was crying about the Catoni. Okay, agree with him or don't agree with him. That's nothing that I would lose respect over. But Sean Payton this season went from a guy that I always was crazy about to a guy that I have lost a ton of respect for during this whole Russell deal.
I'll be honest. I didn't have respect for Sean Payton before this. This is the same guy who had his team put a bounty on other players. Like I didn't have respect for him before this, but this is. And it might have been Ryan Clark who was saying it before. Anyway, he came into this team. It seemed like he had it out to make sure that Denver was his team, and he went about it just very awfully. Like I don't know if how things ended when New Orleans soured him or whatever. But it seemed like he wanted to be like, I got to make sure that this is my team. I got to make sure anything that lets people think that, oh, I'm sharing leadership or whatever with someone is squash. And I feel like he made Russ a scapegoat, because you can't tell me it's a football decision when, other than yards, Russell Wilson is having an equal year as Tua and Patrick Mahomes. So that's not a football decision. If your quarterback is doing this, your defense gave up 70. That's a decision. That's a part where clearly you guys are lacking. It's not that your offense can't do anything. Yes, they've had rough games. Every team has had rough games this year. But if your offense is putting you in a position perennially, they're putting you in a position more often than not, and your defense is failing you, your quarterback's not your scapegoat. You just wanted to have, you got that head inflated from, oh, they wanted me here that badly. I'm going to make sure that this is my team. Yeah. Like you said, I'm the man. I have to make sure of that. So I got to cut you down. And yeah, there was the business decision. They didn't want to pay him $40 million.
Those are two very big egos. To be
fair. And that's the thing. It's ego. Even if these last two stories have been ego. Even if we're talking about, just to bring it back to the ref in the last one, he got it wrong. His ego didn't want him to admit that. That's why that happened. Here, Sean Payton, he wants to make sure that he can have this team. His ego is not going to let somebody else with just as big an ego exist there. That's all it is. And it's trash. But like I said, I didn't think too highly of him anyway. This is the same guy who put bounties on other players.
Fair.
Juwan, what you think, man?
No, I think this whole was Juwan or Joel. I didn't hear you.
It don't matter. One of y'all go.
I thought I don't know. The whole situation has been weird because this team has been they struggled last year with Russell, and it looked like they struggled this year, and then they kind of turned it around. And I haven't paid attention really to what has going on between him and Sean Payton. But I know they were both highly touted for those teams, so they brought in Russell, they paid their due to get him, and then they did the same thing with Sean Payton, and it was like, all right, cool. And now, like I said, now it's like this big fighting for control of the team because like Russell was already there, and like they weren't doing well with him anyway. And he's like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna take over, and the reason that you're not doing well is because you're an egomaniac, and they're probably going back at it, but because of that. And I agree. I can't imagine that. There's not a lot that doesn't have a lot to do with Sean Payton's attitude towards Russell Wilson and how he's been treating him recently. And I agree. Like, I don't mind when a coach goes at a player at all. Like, I don't mind that. Like, that's part of the game, right? Like, I don't mind that at all. It really depends on for how long, and how outrageous you make it look. Because look, you can get mad, especially in the moment. I get upset. Everybody gets upset and yell and scream, but there's also shit that should like move over to the locker room, leave it back there. In the heat of the moment, I get it. So I'm not really too upset about the on the field type of thing. But like you said, he kind of backtracked after the fact. So what's the point there? Like everyone saw it. Why would you lie about it, right? Like it's one of those things. I don't know. It looks like we're never going to see Russell again in a Broncos jersey. And I guess in the end, Peyton will win out. But probably better off because this team is they're weird. It's a weird combustible. It's been a weird season for those Broncos fans. I've seen Leo go up and down all year, so it's like I don't know what's going on. So good luck to them, and I can look forward to seeing where Russell Wilson plays next.
You think, Juwan?
The yelling thing doesn't really bother me. I've seen Bill O'Brien and Tom Brady go at it. That's just fiery competition of it. Russell Wilson's just such a calm, cool, collected guy. He's not going to give it back to you the way that he gets it. So it just looks bad when you see someone screaming at someone and they're just taking it. So I didn't have a problem with that. But as far as Peyton, I'm curious. When he got the job, was there not a conversation with the organization with him saying, hey, I don't want Russell Wilson here? For them to say, okay, well, what do you want to do? Or did he come there and they were like, Russell's staying? I mean, I don't really know what you want to do, but Russell stays. Because it's just confusing. You went into the season and it's like you want to sit him, but to me, it's kind of just like, but where do you go? You're in the middle of the road. You're not bad enough to get a high enough pick to get a good enough quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think you're good enough to necessarily make a Super Bowl run. So you're in the middle of the road. And I don't think anybody in that top 5 is going to be dumb enough to trade their pick for Russell Wilson. Cough, cough, Patriots. So for me, it's just the idea of I don't really get it being a business decision because it's like you might as well just let him play out the rest of the year. I know you don't want to pay him, but it's like you committed. Like you committed and you made this decision way before. Like there's so many teams that would have taken this quarterback weeks ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's for you to make the decision now, it's kind of just like, yeah, that's really messed up. It should be investigated, and the NFLPA should have. Yeah, it's like I'm getting points, right? The NFL Association should look into that, and I think there should be something that's done to the Broncos if this is what they indeed pull off, is benching him in order to not pay him. Don't think that's right. Think
that's not at all. No,
it's crazy. They really gave up on the year. They were in the hunt.
So, what is so he's like 37, almost $40 million if he's on the roster 5 days after the league year starts, which that should be usually like the week after the Super Bowl. I think they count that as the league. I think it's like February 11th. I think it's just before something like this. It's always just before Valentine's Day or something like that. If I remember correctly. So if he's still on the roster. And like Juwan was saying, he just like he's new there too. It's year 2, and so this is year 2. Sean Payton knows what he's getting into. I would love to know what the discussions were when he came in to interview and he took this job, because, like I say, it's obvious to me that for whatever reason he didn't want Russ as his quarterback. I don't know if it's really something personal. We've heard the stories about people not really liking certain players, don't like Russell Wilson because he's kind of odd. Some people he's kind of square, his beliefs, whatever the situation is. But I don't know, because like Ryan Clark made a great point. And I know you guys say you don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with him dressing a player down like that, man. But the way he was doing it, I don't know. The way he was doing it out there for everybody to see. Did you ever see him do that to Drew Brees?
But that's because Drew Brees made him.
Yeah.
Like
that was the guy, right?
Not even that was just his guy. Without that
together.
Super Bowl ring that Drew Brees got him, that's what it was. And it's like I think again, I think you're right. I think we might just all be hearing the same thing hearing what Ryan Clark, because Ryan Clark had a very great point on this, is that he sort of from that it was sort of like, okay, now I am the guy. I got to make sure I am the guy everywhere, and he's sort of going about it the wrong way, because everyone's point, I don't think any of us care that the coach is dressing down the players like that. But even Juwan, remember when it was happening with Bill O'Brien and Tom Brady, it was always, well, what is going on in that locker room? It's just the optics of your locker room looks like it's out of control. It's not even you shouldn't be yelling at another man like that. Like nobody, no, it's football. That happens. But it's, you want to show that your locker room's not in chaos, and it just doesn't look like it's not in chaos because of
Indeed.
Well, to be fair, that locker room being in chaos didn't start. So that's for sure.
That's fair.
We'll see what happens with it. Like my man Andre just said, man, the D has been much improved since the Miami game.
That defense
has played better, while the O has continuously been subpar from last year to this season, for real. I agree with some of that, but a lot of that, he's found a little bit of a connection, especially with him and Cortland Sutton. And his numbers actually are not that bad. If you think about the way he was playing last year as a whole, they struggled more so this year because the defense wasn't playing well, and then the defense finally found itself. But, Russ has been playing okay. The thing I found crazy about this was they said the organization approached Russ about doing something with that injury guarantee right after a win. They just beat Kansas City right after a win, and then told him right after they just won that game, if he doesn't do it, we're gonna bench you. And from what we're finding out is the only reason he didn't end up on the bench for a while before all this went down, because the players' organization and some other people in the NFL got involved. And they looked into it, so he's managed to keep the job for a while. But now we're here. And we see this happen all the time. The last couple of games of the season, we see players all of a sudden, when the team is probably not going anywhere, which is funny in this situation, make changes because we want to get a look at whatever. But then we also see it with coaches as well, where coaches get fired before the last week of the season. So it's going to be interesting. One more thing, guys. We're going to jump into these picks, and then we're going to talk Knicks. I think we're going to pick maybe 5 games, and then we're going to talk Knicks after that. But I want to get you guys' opinion on who the actual MVP is in the league right now. And the reason I ask, because, of course, it's floating everywhere, but also within the group, the question came up, and I dare say it was Caesar. Help us. But it was actually a fair question. The question was, why do people consider Lamar Jackson the MVP? That seems to be the big question now. So the guys that have been talked about the most, and some of them have fallen off, of course, here in the last week or two based on certain things that have happened. But these are the guys that have been talked about the most, of course. So, we got Lamar, you got Tyreek, you got Dak, you got Purdy, and, of course, you got Christian McCaffrey. Pretty loaded field. Joel, what's your thoughts on this here?
Right now, I mean, that's very hard. But I'm probably leaning Lamar or Joe Flacco. I'm kidding. For the last couple of weeks, I had that man's been good. No. I'll probably lean overall Lamar Jackson, but I still say, and I said this I think a week or two ago, Christian McCaffrey, like that trade for Christian McCaffrey, it's more of a team MVP thing. Like that is the best trade they've made in a long time. That's worked out wonders for them. Because again, I think Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. I don't know if he's an MVP quarterback, but I think he's a good quarterback. And I think a lot of that has to do that Christian McCaffrey's amazing. But then you have Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's like the Dolphins. That is the engine. That is the Dolphins. Without Tyreek Hill, they don't run as well at all, and we've seen that happen. Dak, look, man, I'm not fault him at all. He's had a good year, good for him. But Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, they're the dogs. Yeah, they beat down on the Niners, and Lamar was a big part of that. It's like, bro, he's really good. I don't think there's much more to say about it. So Lamar Jackson's right now my MVP.
Juwan.
I'm going Dak. I know most valuable player is simple as that, but to me, nobody in this picture here holds as much or gets as much gets as criticized as Dak. Dak loses that game against the Lions. Everyone's going to be talking about how Dak can't never get it done. Look at Dak, back to old Dak. To me, it's Dak Prescott because it just feels like it's his time. It does, and I'm sorry, Prime, makes me sick to say it, but it feels like Dak and the Cowboys, it's time, right? You got Gilmore playing great. You got Micah playing great. Dak he's really going. Like, he really is. To me, Lamar Jackson, I get why it's Lamar Jackson. He's probably the only one quarterback-wise out of this equation that has not looked horrible in a game, right? That has not just looked horrible. So I get Joel's pick of Lamar. Brock Purdy shouldn't be here. That's offensive to this photo. That just had to be said. Hell, you could just say Christian McCaffrey plays quarterback and running back. I think everyone would be okay with that. But no, I'm going Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, because out of everybody in this picture, he holds the most weight as far as pressure. I don't think there's been enough conversation about Lamar Jackson, and I think that's for a reason. So I'm going Dak Prescott.
All right, Diggs.
I'm going Christian McCaffrey. I do agree with John. Brock Purdy should not be here. He has had an amazing year. Don't get that wrong. But I think it's evidence the 3 games, when they had that 3-game losing streak, he didn't have his 2 best weapons all 3 of those games. That should have took him out the running immediately. No one's saying that he's a bad quarterback.
Right.
No one's saying that. But it's the fact that he's a better quarterback because of the people around him, not the other way around. And I think that should take you out of your MVP ranking because you're clearly not the most valuable to your team in that regard. You know who is, though? Those games where Christian McCaffrey were gone, those games, they look bad. And so you can't tell me that he's not the most valuable player. Lamar is probably second, but that defense is so damn good that I can't say that he's the only reason they're winning them games. He's not the most valuable because I think that defense can probably have a less good quarterback still having them. I won't say the exact same record, but they would be pretty damn close. That defense is that dominant right now. Tyreek is tough. I mean, he's a monster out there, but I think just the
top five.
I think it's just the success of San Fran over Miami that's giving me Christian McCaffrey over Tyreek.
Well,
and I'm just tired of quarterbacks winning. That's why Dak's out.
That's a good point. But 15 out of the last 16 years has been a quarterback. So the last who was it? It was Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson was the last.
That was only because of his feet. Like, he came back from a torn ACL, I think a lot quicker than a lot of people assumed, and then rushed for a crazy amount of yards.
Yeah, and I think people still argue that he shouldn't have won it over a quarterback.
100%. Right. Because remember, it was him versus Peyton. Manning that year. And you can make an argument for either or, but to come back from an injury like that and have the success that he had, it's okay giving it to him. Yeah, I think as long as Didge knows that a wide receiver or a running back will not win it this year, I'm one of those 3 guys on that left side there.
This is who I think is the MVP.
I don't completely disagree with you, as you said. I think Christian McCaffrey. He's important.
Well, I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curve, and y'all all made some great points.
Nobody on the list.
The McCaffrey thing, dynamic, right? Outstanding. And did you allude to, remember with him being hurt? And he actually was, a couple of those games, he actually was just nicked up that he played. The real downfall for the 49ers when in those 3 losses was Debo. When Debo was gone is when they were losing those games for real. I mean, McCaffrey was on the field for the most part. He did get nicked up, I think, in one of those games, but he played. It was Debo who was missing, and they scored 17 points exactly 3 straight weeks. Exactly 17 points and lost all of those games. McCaffrey is dynamic. He's going to make any team better or good, or maybe put him over the top. But if we're always talking about, for me, it's the other players or look what they mean. Like, for me, that may nullify him in my book. Not saying he wouldn't be a great winner. I wouldn't have a problem with him winning it. The Tyreek thing, we're gonna find out about Tyreek today because that's one of the games that we're gonna zip through because he's gonna be, there's no Waddle and he's playing a real defense. So we always, Purdy got taken out of most people's discussion. I don't think he should have been in it anyway. But that horrible game he had against the Ravens the other night, a real defense. People pumped the brakes a little bit on Dak when the Cowboys lost those couple of games in a row. Ironically, though, even though Dak didn't play bad in those games, you know what I'm saying? He didn't win them, but he didn't play bad. And then last night he played okay. He played good. He had the 1 interception, but, it wasn't that dynamic performance everybody was looking for. And Lamar, I think Lamar comes into play because we're so week to week in a lot of cases, and people saw how big and how well he played against that Niners defense. And the biggest argument that I've seen on social media, especially when I think Caesar brought the question up, is people talking about how was he the MVP when his numbers are nowhere as good as they were when he won the MVP that year. Well, to me, stats are awesome. We judge a lot of things and our feelings and thoughts on stats. I don't think stats are the end all be all. I really don't. And if you look at how he has changed his game, I think you guys heard me mention last week or the week before that with Lamar, the beauty of it with him this season is that it's not just about Lamar's legs. Lamar is legitimately throwing the football. Name me a quarterback who has lost as many running backs in the season. He's got a new running back every other week. They still come out, and for the most part, they pound. He's got a rookie receiver in Zay Flowers who's coming around, but he's finding a way to make. I think last week I told you Bateman work. I didn't even know Bateman was good enough to be in the league, to be honest with you. All of a sudden, Bateman is looking like a real wide receiver, bro. And then you lose one of the best tight ends in the game. Oh, I just pulled up Isaiah Likely. I'm gonna get him in the end zone every week. Right?
That's fair.
Why does Lamar's numbers have to match what he did last year? And why does he have to have more touchdowns than everyone else? He doesn't have a Christian McCaffrey. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, he don't have a receiver that can do what Debo does. And that's not to shade the now. I'm just telling you. Right? Yeah, they got a good defense. They've always had good defenses for the most part. The willingness of Lamar Jackson and the ability to change his game to get in where he fits in, to me, has been the most impressive thing. So to me, the top 2 would definitely be Lamar. And I agree. I still agree with Juwan about Dak Prescott. No matter what happens after this, when they get in the playoffs, we're talking about in the regular season. You guys not going to tell me that Cooper Rush is going to do what he did 2 years ago. And Cooper Rush didn't do much. He just managed the game. Right. That's really what he did.
He just didn't lose.
And everybody else took care of everything else. I've been more critical of Dak Prescott than any Dallas Cowboy fan that you know. But I'm going to call it what it is. I don't know where he got the uncanny ability to actually make great passes from. I don't know where that's been all his career. He's got it this year. He has balled out, and he's cut his interceptions down tremendously. He's definitely got the conversation. I think the only way Tyreek is definitely in the conversation, he's going to have to show out today. Because we got this week and next week, he's at just over 1,600. I know he's going for that 2,000, and I know he missed the game. Now, he shows out against this Ravens defense today, especially being the only real guy. since Waddle's gone, then maybe I'll revisit it. But to me, it's a two-man race right now. It's got to be Lamar and Dak for me.
Well, you heard that, Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. You want MVP votes? Start throwing the ball more. Do more trick plays. Start throwing the ball more. As a quarterback.
Throwing the ball
great
too.
point right here. Quarterback numbers are down across the board. The Dolphins are not a contender without Tyreek, and he is inching towards the record book. Yeah, as far as a contender, I would agree. Because let's be real. Let's be perfectly honest. People say the same thing about Lamar. You guys can't tell me that the Ravens will be the number one seed if they're making the playoffs if Lamar Jackson is not the quarterback. I don't care how good that defense is. You know what I'm saying?
They won't be as good, but I think they would still make playoffs.
Yeah, they're not gonna be number one seed though.
No, for sure.
But the defense will probably carry them. You can't tell me that offense gonna function the same way either.
I don't know. That division is very lock and step, right? No one has a tremendous, I believe, advantage over the other. I think they're all around the same ballpark, especially with the Bengals looking like they've regressed a little bit.
Well,
depends on what week it is, but yeah.
Right. I do believe that you could have gotten a game manager to fill in that just didn't.
Are they the number one seed in the AFC?
No.
I think that defense is that good that they could still win a lot of those games that they won with Lamar. 100%.
But the number one seed in the AFC?
Yeah. Oh, in the AFC. I'm sorry.
Not the AFC.
Not the, I thought you said in the division. I'm sorry. AFC. I'm going to be honest. Can we be honest here? This is the first year in a while that the AFC wide open.
Oh, 100%.
Home struggling, Bills struggling. It's not as tight as it was last year or the year before. It's wide open. So if you're telling me that the Ravens has a guy that just doesn't lose games, I think that defense is good enough to get them 13-10 win to some of these teams. So I don't know. I think they still could because the AFC looks weaker this year than
the one team. The one team, and that's something for down the road. It would be very interesting to see them meet in the playoff. Is that division rival, and that would be him going against Flacco. That would be very interesting. That the makeups of those two teams and their defenses, the way they've been playing, is crazy. But I say the same thing. I can say the same thing. Cowboys are not even contending for the shoot. Are the Cowboys making the playoffs? You think they make the playoffs without that?
Rush?
Yeah.
Are they contending? Are they contending for the title? Which are not the NFC East. They're not going to get it, but without him.
No, that I'll give to you.
The NFC though, they're granted. Juwan's right. The AFC is also weak, but the NFC. Remember, I think they could have somebody under 500 make two teams under 500 make the playoffs. They are for sure weak this year.
And we got to remember the most important thing. Harbaugh, in my opinion, way better head coach than Mike. So that's why I'm saying I think Harbaugh could manage a game well enough to where the quarterback does not lose it. You know what I'm saying? I think he's that gifted.
My only point is, if I agree with the majority of what you say, but they've been through a lot though, and like I said, I don't know just how effective they are with the injuries that they've had. If this guy's not 100% is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Running back carousel, tight. You just don't lose one of the best tight ends in the game and just easily replace him. You might go get somebody you might get in the end zone once every 3 or 4 weeks. He's found a way to get his guy in the end zone every week. So.
I will say, though, I do agree with that comment. And I think you brought it up earlier that if Tyreek breaks the 2,000-yard receiving mark, you have to give it to him. You have to.
Well, my question is, they didn't give it to CK when he broke the record.
He didn't break the record.
He did break the record.
No.
Well, he went over, but
he went over 2,000 yards, but he didn't break the record. That record is still hasn't been broken.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is the funny thing. I think today is the real kicker how he shows out because I don't know if you got it in front of you, Diz. So how many games has Tyreek actually played in? Is he played in 15? I think.
I can
16.
I just had it
15. So the question is, of course, the goalposts are going to always move, but the question is going to be, so unless he has a big game today, because he's just under 400 yards shy, with 300 and some change or whatever.
Yeah.
If he ends up playing 17 games, then you know what the conversation is going to be. Some people are going to be, he did the 2,000, we got awarded, he's got to get it. And then some people are going to cry, of course he got the 2,000 because he played an extra game.
Well, he's only played 14.
He only played 14, so not 15. So if he plays today, still.
He'll be at 16 games if he plays.
Yeah, 16 games. Okay, well, yeah. So it's interesting. Today going to tell us a lot. You know what I'm saying?
It'll set a crazy precedent. It'll set a crazy precedent if he breaks the record and does win, because then you're gonna have to look at any receiver going forward that'll break a touchdown.
No, that's because a receiver's never won it.
Right. I mean, think about it. Cooper Kupp didn't get it from a Triple Crown. Like his name wasn't even mentioned.
I think
Triple Crown.
I think what makes it different, versus when you brought up earlier that they didn't give it to CJ. 2,000 yards had been done, I think, at that time 6 times by running backs. I think there's been 6 running backs that have been over 2,000 yards. Mm-hmm. No wide receiver has did 2,000 yards. So I think that's where it's like this is completely unprecedented. Even if you're looking at a triple crown, the wide receiving triple crown has been done before.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a rarity.
It is. I give you that, but this is new. This is beyond a rarity. This has just never happened.
Right.
Indeed. So we'll keep an eye on Tyreek's performance today, and everything.
We could all
see what's happening.
He could go out and have another 40-yard receiving game.
Indeed. All right, let's rip through these 5 games so we can talk Knicks before we get out of here. All right, so we got 5 games on the board today. A lot of them have playoff implications. First on the board today would be the Titans and the Texans. Looking forward to this game as I was just a couple of weeks ago, because CJ Stroud is back. Be back under center today, which is going to be huge for the Texans in this one. The one thing I wanted to point out before I get you guys picks is I'm also watching Derrick Henry. Did you guys realize? So a couple of weeks ago when they played, Derrick Henry, I think, had 16 carries for 9 yards.
Yep.
They shut him down. And which is also even crazy. He only has 3 100-yard games this entire year.
He did throw for a touchdown, did he not? he threw for a touchdown, I think, last week.
Yeah, his own passes and everything. He's getting in the end zone, but the rushing numbers have not always been great. So
True.
2 teams that
match up. Giving me points though. I can't complain.
Joel, how you see this thing going today?
For my fantasy stats, I really hope Tennessee does well, but the CJ's back in Houston. I think it's game time, and I think Houston can pull it out. They really don't look the same without him. It's really weird how bad they look without CJ Stroud, and they've looked really good with him. So I'm just gonna go with the bet that they'll look good again with him. And Tennessee's so up and down. Some weeks yes, some weeks no. To my detriment, because I have 2 of them. But I'm gonna probably leave with Houston, even though I hope Henry has a good game. 50-point game. Yeah, let's go.
What you got?
It was 19-16 last game with overtime, with Case Keenum at the helm. I feel like CJ Stroud can get them at least a touchdown or 2. So I'm gonna go 26-16. I don't think Tennessee scoring more than 16 again. I'm gonna keep them the same. I think that defense can do the exact, because I was also in Nashville.
Yeah.
So I feel like the home crowd could get them keep that defense right around the same. Yeah, I'm gonna go 26-16. Houston.
Juwan, what you got?
On Tennessee.
Get Juwan out of here.
Simple as that. Going
Simple as that. It's Tennessee. Yeah, I'm gonna just take the Texans real quick because they're back, and I think they'll be able to score from deep, and they're gonna have to, because the Titans have the number 2 red zone defense in the league, so they're doing something right. That's the one thing they are doing right. But I just feel like Nico and Noah will be able to get it. They don't have to be inside the 20 for those guys to get down the field. So I'm going to take the Texans in this game. Crazy score, something like 22-17, something like that.
Close.
All right, next up, the game we were just talking about. Well, some of the players we were just talking about, the Dolphins and the Ravens. And I mentioned today there is no Jalen Waddle on the other side, and we also finding out that Mostert is not playing for the Dolphins, so it's going to be about A-Chain. Yep,
rookie sensation.
A-Chain coming, and something to watch in this game that Lamar may try to exploit would be Jalen Ramsey, who's nursing I think a sore knee. And Jalen Ramsey has been sneaky, and how to say sneaky with Jalen Ramsey, but he has been really good, solid since he's come back from that injury this year. But I think Lamar will try to take advantage of that. Juwan, what you got?
I'm going Ravens, mainly because I can't pick the Dolphins. But if Lamar,
that's how you really feel.
Yeah, if Lamar is the MVP, as most people believe, excuse me, this is the game. This is not the game. The 49ers was the game, but this is the game. This is a game to really showcase how far you are from Tyreek Hill as far as the MVP votes go. And I think this is the perfect game to go out there and show out. And I think Lamar Jackson will go out there and do just that.
Indeed. Joel.
I have to agree. This is the battle for MVP, even though, unofficially. So show out. This is your chance. Like, the Ravens go out there and Lamar does his thing. I think he will. So I'm going Baltimore. Then I think that it will be Lamar Jackson's MVP, and the Tyreek Hill goes nuts and surprises everybody, and the Dolphins pull it out. I mean, maybe I change my mind. Like, oh, okay, Tyreek, maybe okay, Miami. But I right now I'm still leaning Baltimore, but I won't put it past him. Tyreek will surprise you in some games, and he might go for that crazy ass. No Waddle, it's all him now, right? He's got to outrun everybody. So him and A-Chain. They've done it. I've seen them do it. It's crazy.
No doubt. Did
Baltimore 35-21.
God damn.
I think they are. So Miami's hurt. We just talked about that. Miami's not healthy. They dismantled a healthy 49ers team.
This is true.
I think they could do the same to an unhealthy Miami team.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I think I agree. That's my son put it up there. Baltimore, the lock of the day. I definitely agree with that, man. I definitely agree with that. I think the Ravens. I won't be surprised if Ravens put up some points because they played in a couple of close games, but they've been able to put up some points on some people too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's gonna be crazy. Matter of fact, is they've scored 30 plus points 7 times this season. So when they get it going.
True.
So. I ain't even giving the score. I'm just saying the Ravens going to win it. I think the Ravens going to win it. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be surprised if it's by at least 2 scores.
That's I agree.
Tracks.
I will not be surprised. Let's see what happens on that. Bucks and Saints getting it as the battle of the South. The Bucks win the day they win the division, and they are in. Juwan, how you feel about Baker and the boys today?
Oh, you already know. Baker,
why did he have to
baby. Baker boys, we up. You already know. Me and Skip is just us. You know what I'm saying? Just me and Skip keeping that Baker train going. I'm always gonna ride with my guy Baker. You already know. We up in there. Playoffs time. What was you saying, Didge? About Baker? Playoffs time, man. Let's go.
First round exit.
Boys,
It's okay. First round exit.
Oh, Didge, I want you to know I will go wilder for Baker Mayfield winning one playoff game than I ever would for the Knicks winning a championship. So you know, the spike will be real.
That is all spike, man.
Bananas. Okay. It won't happen, so it's okay.
Okay. Remember this.
Hey, Baker playing for something today, though. They get in. He get the extra $1 million to kick in incentives.
Money and legacy. That's what's on the line right now.
He's having a great year. You're not wrong.
He's having a what year?
He's having a great year. You're not wrong.
He's probably more than likely going to be their quarterback again next year.
I think so. I think it's his home now.
Yeah, probably.
At least 4 now.
Hey, Diz, what's going down today? Who you got?
I hate that Juwan's here.
It's funny that Juwan comes in today.
I know, especially because I was picking, but I didn't want to pick the. Now I don't want to pick the Bucks, but they're definitely gonna win. I was just looking. I didn't realize they beat them 26-9 last time they played. I didn't realize that. That's crazy. I don't think it's gonna be that wide of a game. I was gonna go 21-17. But I do still think Tampa wins.
You got the Bucks.
Yeah.
Indeed. Joel, who winning this?
I am leaning Buccaneers, but I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as the last game. I do think Derek Carr and the Saints will pull out something. I think it'll be close, but I don't think they'll pull it out at the end. So I'm leaning Bucks and the Baker boys. And throw it to my guy, Godwin. Do it.
It's going to be interesting, though, because the one thing about it is we talk about how great Baker has been doing this 4-game win streak for them. Derek Carr's actually, in the midst of everything that's going on with them, has actually been played okay the past couple of weeks.
Oh, wait.
There's a secondary that you're going to get at. The Bucks, probably the one real weakness they've had this year has been in that secondary.
I have Derek Carr as my quarterback this week, so he needs to light it up. I don't care if he wins or not, but he needs to light it up.
Yeah, I see that him and Olave connection going, getting Olave over 100 against that secondary today. I'm gonna ride with the Bucks too. I think the Bucks are gonna stamp their playoff ticket today. Saints not gonna let it be easy though. So, but I got Baker and the Bucks. I'd say 23-20. All right. And the very last game that we have in the NFL is going to be the Bengals and the Chiefs. Bengals coming in at 8-7. Chiefs 9-6, and not looking like the Chiefs whatsoever. Before you guys pick this game, some recent history. I'm just going to jog your memory. I know y'all already know this. You go back to the last 4 times they played. You know what the significance is?
I do not.
Every one of those games has been decided by 3 points.
Wow.
Yeah, you go back to 2022. We got 34-31, 27-24. The next time they met, 27-24. Early this year, 23-20. So these are 3-point games. Now I understand that some moving parts that, that there is no, there's a different quarterback under center who actually is, other than last week when he kind of stunk it up a little bit, Brownie, he actually has not played that bad. He's had some pretty decent games. And I think this is going to be interesting too. But Joel, what you got in this one?
Well, you got to remember, all those games were BB before Browning. So it's a whole different ball game now.
They had your cool.
I'm telling you, I don't know. I don't trust the Kansas City as much these days as I have in the past.
That is true.
But I like Cincinnati. I even with Browning, even though they kind of struggled last week. I don't know. Like this is probably the hardest one because like Kansas City is like usually automatic lock most weeks, and the last couple weeks I'm like, Kansas City, the revenge game 2, But this week it's like I thought revenge game 2 was last week and they stunk it up. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. We're gonna go BB. Browning is the new year.
Wow.
New half a year. Kansas City gonna go into the postseason unhappy.
Joel. Juwan.
It's okay. Same person. Bengals Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
So if Taylor Swift is at the game, I'm going Bengals.
She'll be there.
She'll be there.
Yeah.
I'm with Joel. I'm with Joel. Seeing her miserable up there with Mahomes' wife has been secretly
cathartic,
calming for me. So I don't know. There's something about riding the ship there that just feels right. But anyway, no. All jokes aside, Patrick Mahomes is starting to feel footsteps. Right, like there was a time where he felt like he was leaps and bounds better than the rest of the NFL. It's now starting to feel like the gap is closing. Now that could change once they get receivers and stop going to the YMCA to get guys. To me, this is a very important game for his ego. Because I think they'll be just fine in the playoffs. He's still a threat. So I'm gonna go the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes understands that this is just important, just to hush people as he starts to make his way into the playoffs, just to calm people. You lose this game, you have people going, well, you can never be mentioned next to Brady. You know what I'm saying? Brady wouldn't lose to the Bengals or the backup. It'll be ridiculous. So this is a Mahomes game for sure. Probably about I'm gonna say 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns for Mahomes.
Woo! They coming out gunning. They get it together. Cats actually hold on to the football today. And Kelsey actually starts to look like himself. 4 touchdowns. That is crazy.
Yep.
But it can happen. It can definitely happen. Especially, your boy got a little beef, a little online beef with the Chiefs DBs. Chase loves jabbing at them, pretty much saying they're not, especially Jerry Sneed. I think they got something personal going on between the two of them. Oh. So I want to say they'll probably, if Chase is going to play today, which I haven't seen that he had. I know they was watching.
I haven't seen anything come up yet.
Yep. So I imagine they'll have to be separated. The DBs will have to be separated from those receivers a few times. And Brandon has found a nice little hookup with T. Higgins here lately. So it's going to be I think they're still going to make it interesting. But yeah, I'm going to ride with the Chiefs in this one. Something like 28-23, something like that.
Yep. Same.
You saying?
Same, yeah. I added 27-24, but I'm riding with the Chiefs. They have surprisingly been average at home, though. So if there are any game where they're primed for another upset, it is this one.
Indeed.
Indeed. On brownies, man. So we're brownies over here. Right?
Also, I don't like how we just quit on the Packers-Vikings game.
Oh.
Okay. I knew it was something there.
I missed one.
Yeah, they it's going to be interesting though. With we did real quick. We did have one game, Packers and Vikings. You just said that. So the Packers and Vikings. I will say the one thing to watch in this one right here is the corner. So there's no Jair Alexander, who got suspended for the craziest thing ever. But he got suspended, so he's not playing. And then we just saw that what's the kid over the other guys? Is Stokes?
Hold on, I can double check. I'm sure Stokes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Eric Stokes. He's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be some corners missing down in Green Bay today. And I'm still waiting for my man's JJ to really, really get going. I saw Addison was questionable for Minnesota. But this is the time for them to really get rolling, man. I'm trying to take advantage of that. That's I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go with the Vikings in this game. The Packers have been so up and down this season. Just when you think they're getting together, then they stink it up. And then you think they're going to get blown out. They actually won the game. They haven't had a receiver over 100 yards this season. They had a couple people that came close, but they just haven't gotten over to have that blowout game. So I don't care who the quarterback is. I think that Jaron Hall is starting for Minnesota today and not Nick Mullins, I believe.
Ooh,
it don't matter.
It's not mine.
I'm going to take the Vikings by 3.
What?
Vikings by 3.
Oh.
I got to support my guy, Mike. Shout out to Mike. I'm going Packers.
I'm going to go Packers because I don't know who the quarterback is from Minnesota, and that's not a good sign for me.
I'm also going Packers. I still think Green Bay gets into the playoffs, so you got to start here.
Wow, that's fucking wild. Yeah, this is a playoff game, basically. You're right.
They just not weeks ago. Now is when right now.
Yeah, good point.
All right, fellas, let's get to it. So the one thing I know we've been anxious to talk about since yesterday, let's switch over to the NBA. And then there was a trade that went down between the New York Knicks and the Toronto Raptors. So, of course, the big pieces in the trade. Of course, the Knicks acquire OG Anunoby, and they send over RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly. And there's a lot of, I know especially up there where you guys are, but there's a lot of reaction to this. Some people calling this one of the worst things that New York could have ever done. They don't like the trade and gave up too much. Then there's some people that once you break it down, that may be able to change your opinion of actually what it means for both teams. Of course, mainly the Knicks, what we care about. But
Right.
Juan, I know you wanted to get at this. What are your overall feelings about our Knicks in this trade yesterday?
Me and Joel spoke yesterday, and it's bittersweet. Those are our babies, right? Quickly, RJ, Obi, we're losing all of our babies. Obi, I think we lost for like a pack of cigarettes. But it's just bittersweet because quickly was playing well, right? And his minutes were decreasing. So, I mean, to know Tibbs it's so wild that in basketball and football, I have the same caliber coach, right? Like Tibbs is becoming Bill Belichick right before my eyes. I swear. But no, I really do love this trade because I think what a lot of people aren't understanding from the outside looking in, the games we've been losing lately, teams are scoring like 140 points. There's going to be a game where someone drops 250 on us. It sounds impossible, but it's the rate we're going. We need defense. Horribly bad. Like, we need defense. And OG Anunoby, because I know a lot of people are going, well, he's not statistically that much better than RJ. But we don't need OG Anunoby for offense. The problem is RJ couldn't do offense or defense. Like, if he could at least do defense, we could say, all right, well, cool, we'll keep you for at least defense. Man's going to do that. So it's like OG Anunoby does one thing better than anything RJ can do or has shown he's capable of this year. That migraine is like, I don't know, something was with that migraine. He got the same curse JR did that year. But I personally love it. OG Anunoby is going to come in, be great defensively. We'll see it as soon as Monday, is what a lot of people are saying. So I think he's going to come in, do really well. The whole quickly thing sucks, but we weren't going to pay him.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. They didn't want to pay him. They wanted financial flexibility going forward. And RJ is guaranteed too much money. I think coming up in his fourth year.
Just paid him last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And quickly wants an absorbent amount of money. So we just weren't going to do it. So for me, this was the best of a bad situation. I was telling Didge yesterday, this is not a home run hit. This is not a trade that now makes us up there with Boston and Milwaukee. No. But it does make us better in the one thing we horribly lacked, and that was defense. So I'm good with this trade.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And the one thing about it, I don't think a lot of people reading the comments, of course, real Knicks fans know, but there was a lot of people, I guess, casual Knicks fans, were talking about wasn't realizing the Quickly situation. And I was like, do you know how much money he was commanding? I love Quick.
You're not a Knicks fan if you don't.
Yeah, Quick. If any way he could still be on this team, I was for it. But I think we all knew that as we continue to talk about making moves, and if we're going to acquire someone, we're going to lose players that we're crazy about, And if you look at it, like we've seen the ups and downs with Julius Randle. And there was a time period last year. I was with a lot of people like, yeah, it's about time to make this move. It's time to see what we can get for him. And RJ was having a stretch when he was having some really good games.
Especially the playoffs. RJ was probably the second best player on our team in the playoffs last year.
Yep. Yeah. And then the inconsistencies came, and then they trickled over again into this season. And, of course, it'll take him to have that one good night. And, of course, everybody, I told y'all. But he's very inconsistent. And I hate that for RJ because I was really hoping that he could, become that guy. And I was the guy that wanted Randall gone for the longest time more than I wanted RJ gone. Only to come to the realization that, if somebody's got to move first, if we're going to make a move, it's probably time to see what we can get for RJ while some of the stock is still there. Because I'm sure the teams are viewing him as up and down. And then you look at, too, is the fact that I've noticed, like, OKC game and a couple other games, when he would be in, they were drawing up plays to go right at him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're drawing up plays to go right at him because they don't fear him, defensively. So at least my thing is, at least with OG, you got somebody that can guard multiple positions over there. And then everybody's talking about the points that we're losing, but you do understand that they're not bringing him there to score. But he can't score. I mean,
Of course.
15, 16 points a game. If you think about it, he's decent from three. And I saw something yesterday. They say he's shooting like 44% from the corner three.
Yeah.
You
On
know,
the left
so
side.
if we want to, put that out there. So
And in Prime, there was a report that they were saying that OG wanted out because he wanted more of an offensive responsibility. It's really hard when Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes are probably taking up majority of the offensive reps.
It's the same thing gonna happen here. The only difference is now because we don't have quickly. There's no 6-man. No scoring on the bench. He'll take over the RJ role and actually he'll be the first option. Unlike when
he'll be with the big
right. He'll have the opportunity to get his scoring. He'll whatever touches he wants. He'll be expected to score. We want him to score over 20 points a game. It's not like we don't. That's what we want. We've seen him do it. I know he can do 20. I've seen him score 20. I mean, he's averaged 20 a game in his career before.
I think he's 20 on us. One of the last times we played him.
When we play him, it's like we has 20 every game. But here's the thing. Like what Juwan was saying,
quick note, he has not averaged 20 a game in a season in his career.
He has averaged at one point a 20 a game. He has. Maybe not for the whole season, but I remember at one point he was averaging 20 a game.
He scored 20, yes. Okay, that's
no.
average.
There was a point in his time where what was the highest he scored?
Career high is 36.
No, I mean like a game, like his average.
In a season, 17.
17?
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where he was averaging 20. I remember that because I tracked these motherfuckers.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking stats.
They might have dropped because remember he's also kind of injury prone. I'm not gonna lie.
That is also, that season that he scored that 17, he only played 48 games.
There you go, and that's probably the year he was scoring 20 at one point, and it just kind of dipped after a while. All right, so my thing is, he is exactly what we need. Like the Knicks in general, and needed a big wing defender. And RJ is technically a big wing, but he's not the defender that is OG. OG is technically probably the best wing defender in the league. Let's be real. Yeah. RJ is unfortunately inconsistent, and that's been his problem. Like I think he has higher ceiling than OG, but he also has lower floor. You know what I mean? It's like, and sometimes he's high, sometimes he's low. And the problem is that it's every year since he's been a Knick, it's been high, low, high. It's like a roller coaster. And like his low lows are really low and his high highs are high. Like, and well, OG, at least you get 17 points a game. You know what I mean? And he'll lock you on the guy next to him. And you could depend on him to shoot threes on a consistent rate. Like, he's not a superstar, not at all. Barely an all-star, but he's a defensive all-star. He was all defense team, was he not?
Let me double
check that. You have a guy that
in steals last year or the year before, I think.
I forget what he is now. I mean, right now, but
he was steals leaders last year, and he was second team on defense last year.
Yeah, so I mean, no one's on our team has ever had all defensive anything. Like, you know what I mean? And look, and it hurts. We don't have Mitch now. Mitch is out for the season. That was a big part of our defense. Gone. Yep. So imagine them together. That's like fascinating. But now we can't see that till next year. But you have a big wing defender in OG who like fits in like our team like a glove. And I think looking on the Toronto side of things, I think that's really good for both of them because now I'm pretty much believe that quickly will start at point guard over there, even though he's not really the point guard. It's more Barnes, but he'll be the off guard. He'll be a guard. He'll be their main guard. He'll start. And I think RJ will start, and RJ will have more room to move because he's not the consistent shooter, but everybody else on that team seems like they can shoot. So he'll have the space and the freedom to do what he needs to do at home because now we sent him home. We sent him to Canada. You know, it's not like we sent him to Siberia. We sent him to Canada, like the nicer cold side. You know what I mean? And so at least we got to send RJ home, and we gave quickly an opportunity to be the man, or at least the main guard in Toronto. So I think it works out for both sides. We got what we wanted. They got what they wanted. We only gave up a second-round pick. I was completely mind-boggled that we only gave up a second. They were asking for 3 firsts last year. Three of them. We gave up a second. Now the biggest loss for us, obviously, was quickly. So I understand being upset and being emotional. Those were our kids, like Juwan was saying. we drafted them. They became good here, and it always sucks to lose them. And we overhype our guys more than anyone, obviously.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And look, we love that's because we love them. You know what I mean?
They get good players, so.
But you gotta spend money to make money, and this was always gonna hurt. You had to move forward. You had to make this move, and we filled a really big need, and I don't think it's over. This is just the beginning. Maybe not right away, maybe not even this year, but this is a step towards the next step, in my opinion.
Real quick, Didge, before you go, one of the insiders, Mike Scotto, did say that he's hearing rumblings that the reason why the Knicks were okay sending away quickly is that he sees a possibility of a trade surrounding Julius Randle.
Yeah.
And on the Raptors side, they're still shopping Pascal Siakam. So it'll give RJ even more room because he's a slasher. He's not a shooter. He's a slasher. Right. So it opens that paint up even more for RJ to get easier buckets. It was hard to do with Randle because Randle wants to be in the paint and then wants to, and it's like
they were too. Honestly, they were kind of too similar. Like, they did a lot of the same things.
Because I know a lot of people are like, well, why give up quickly when you could have maybe held him to send somewhere else? It's like, well, if they're looking to trade Julius Randle.
Let's be real, Jawan. Let's be real. We had 4 lefties in the lineup. That doesn't work. Okay,
it does not.
I'm kidding. It's not.
No, I'm sorry, Didge. I just wanted to throw that in there. That
I was deferring this conversation to you guys. I don't.
But Didge, it's good to get your perspective as an outsider.
Right.
I mean, I think Juwan, you and I were talking about it yesterday. I'm clearly not as high as. I won't say all Knicks fans because it seems like it's a very polarizing trade.
Yeah.
Right.
I've heard some crazy shit.
It's interesting to me, and like I said, obviously you guys are gonna know better than I will. That they were so. It seemed like they were so turned off for the Donovan Mitchell trade. I know, John, you were explaining some of the other moving parts with it.
Well, I will get into that if you like.
Jawan talked my ear off about it. I'm fine. I understand now. Let's
not like talk like that's in the same trade. Let's not, because it's not.
It is, and
it's not.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree here.
You can't disagree. They wanted 5 picks and all 4 of our young guys.
Okay. I mean, your last offer was 2 young guys and 3 picks, but sure. And they only got 3 picks in their final trade offer. But I understand there's.
But look what we gave up. But you can't compare it to this trade. That's what I'm saying.
But the 2 players are the same. And I was reading more about it. I see that there was some beef with Danny Ainge. I see that there was some that the Jazz didn't call you guys back.
That was obviously true. Yes.
I understand all of that. I just think I don't know if OG Anunoby was. I feel like you guys oversold a bit, and clearly you guys feel differently. You guys feel happy with the trade. Time is only going to tell, but I do think you guys could have got something better with the assets that you gave up. Sure, you may have had to throw in a better draft pick, but I think the caliber of players.
A really good 2nd round pick. I'm gonna miss that 2nd round pick.
Okay. I do think that the caliber of player that you guys got back in return.
We got 3 players back. We're not talking about them, and it's not fair to them. We also got Precious Achiuwa, and we got Malachi Flynn.
We needed another power forward.
We did.
That's fair. That's fair then. And like I said, obviously with every trade, only time is going to tell. It just on paper at first glance, I did immediately go, it looks like the Knicks oversold. I think they kind of undervalued some of the people that they gave up. Like, I think you could have got something, but neither here nor there. I'm just interested to see how it all meshes and to see what the next steps are going to be.
I will say, Didge, to your point, one thing that has to be looked at from last year when that trade was asked, I think the Knicks were not yet convinced that they had hit a wall with RJ. Right? They had just given him this money. They thought, okay, maybe this is the year he could take the next step, and we don't need to go out and get a Donovan Mitchell. Because if you could have RJ putting up huge numbers, Brunson and Randall, this team could go.
I don't think.
I mean, look at where they went last year, and RJ didn't have outstanding numbers. So I think they were just not yet sold on. We gotta move on from him. And then
I also don't think that was the sticking point. I don't think RJ and Quickly were the sticking point. I really don't.
No, it was first round picks.
It was all the picks they wanted on top of them two and Obi and fucking Grimes.
Right.
It's like they wanted everything. Like, you know.
And honestly, Didge, I'll say this. I'll say that because no one's saying this, and I think Didge is making a really good point. So I want to not that you need it, Didge, but I want to shoot some bail for you real quick. A lot of that Knicks not taking that trade was ego. They knew they were being fleeced, right? Yeah. There's sometimes when you're being fleeced, it's okay to not be the tough guy in the room, right? Sometimes it's okay to say, all right, I kind of value Donovan more than I do these players or whatever those picks could turn out to be. So It's an ego thing, but I do understand it from the point of the Knicks to where it's like, bro, I can't openly let you fleece me. We've done this before with Melo, where he was a free agent the very next year. And we decided, take everything so we can have him now, right? So we don't risk it. And it's like, we've been fleeced before. And I watch one of those draft picks that everyone says, who cares? Like, you know, what is that draft pick going to turn into? One of those draft picks turned into Jamal Murray. So it's like,
but at the same time, there was no guarantee, even if y'all had that draft pick.
No, there's not. Absolutely.
Also, that was a different regime at the time.
So 100%.
It's the same team, but different people.
For sure.
100%. But I did want to say, Didge, from your perspective, yes, the Knicks could have taken ego out of it and said Brunson, Mitchell, Randall is enough, right, to at least start the progression of the next tier of the Knicks.
That's another issue. You have to look at the way they probably looked at it. And this is how I'm looking at it. They look at OG as an upgrade over RJ. Mm-hmm. One. Quickly, they were going to lose if they didn't pay him. They didn't want to pay him what he wanted to get paid because he wanted to get paid like a starter. They didn't want to start him. So they already made the decision not to start him, which they probably should have if they were going to keep him. Because honestly, they were better with him on the floor. They just were. And they decided not to. They wanted to keep bringing him off the bench. And when they decided they didn't want to go as high as 25, I guess they didn't want to go far or whatever. They didn't want to pay that much for a 6-man or a bench player. I'm like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it's weird because you have Brunson and you had to make a decision. You can't. I don't like having overpaying at the same position, and they're both guards.
But now you at least. Sorry, I was going to say I think that's sort of where I was saying that it feels like you guys overpaid for, I guess, I don't want to say under deliver because we won't see that yet, but just hear how high you guys are talking about Quickly. Taking RJ out of it, sure. It's you guys gave up clearly what you guys value as a very valuable asset in Quickly for, again, I just don't see it. Sure, you can say your statement has always been he's this much better than RJ. He's this much better than RJ.
Yeah.
Is he this much better than RJ and Quickly together?
Okay. Yes, and I got an answer to that. I'm so glad you posed it like that. This situation is purely addition by subtraction, and here's why, right? Everything Joel just said about Quickly and how great he was for our team, I want to tell people, because I know a lot of people maybe don't watch the Knicks. DiVincenzo last night had 38 points.
38 points.
So we just needed to give DiVincenzo the ball more, and it's hard to do that when you got to give Quickly the minutes you would give DiVincenzo. That now opens up DiVincenzo's minutes to do things like that. So again,
had DiVincenzo on their team. He'll give you that.
right.
Every 7 to 12 games. So
right.
Don't count on that.
No. We're not saying it like DiVincenzo's going to become like the John Starks. No. If DiVincenzo was given more of an offensive responsibility, right? The pressure is not immensely on OG Anunoby to come in and drop 25 a game, right? Yeah. If he averages his 17 to 18 a game and DiVincenzo can still play as freely as he did yesterday, then it just opens that offense up, and we get better defensively.
And also, I'd like to point out,
value it better.
Like Juwan was saying, it is kind of addition by subtraction in the fact that we got an asset like OG that is not easy to find. Whereas, no offense to Quickly, there is a lot of them in the league. Okay. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, I like him, I love him, but OGs, they're much harder to find a 6'7" wing defender on his level that can score 15 to 20 points a game, and obviously wants to show that he can do that. And kid's good. We know he's good. That's not even the question. That's not a question. Is he an all-star? Debatable. But same thing can be said about Hope Quickly. Debatable. Maybe. If it gets there. Now they'll both have the opportunity to show it, right? RJ, I wish him the best, honestly. You know, I do. I love the guy.
Sure. I will say to Digit's point, I would have maybe liked to explore the idea of holding on to Quickly and maybe giving an additional draft pick and then flipping Quickly for somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have that same sentiment.
Right.
Maybe give up a first less instead of giving up Quickly, use him for a bigger pack. I get that. But
if you want DeJounte Murray, I know people are saying Quickly would have been what the Hawks wanted, but you might have to overpay a bit draft-wise to get DeJounte Murray, if that's still what your eyes are on, which we heard their eyes are still on. So I get you there, Dig, that you maybe overpaid because maybe RJ and picks could have maybe gotten it done. But in the situation here, like Joel said, when this trade first went down, first thing Joel said was, I thought the Raptors hated us because of this whole lawsuit thing we had against this. I didn't think we could do business.
That is also true. We didn't even get to that part.
The fact that they didn't hold up the deal that they wanted last year and they kind of lessened on it is a win. It is a win. You just got to take that as
we still hold all our firsts, and that's ammo for a bigger deal.
And a good position to sign him back if we want to keep him.
He said if he got to New York, he would sign for a little less.
Well, he also said he did. He said he wouldn't look for the max value if he came to New York for some apparent reason. But thank you.
He says that now. Let that season not go how he expecting it to go. I want all my money.
Well, then you got to get more than 17 a game, my G.
You're talking about Donovan Mitchell. I don't personally think that's over.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it's over whatsoever. When it went down the first time, possibly be a little different next time this thing comes around. So.
You know what?
Here's the thing, Prime. Here's what people don't want to give the Knicks credit for, because it's always a split reaction of like, oh my God, here's the Knicks again making these rash decisions. Here's what no one's thinking about: our war chest outside of Oklahoma, right, is one of the deepest war chests draft-wise in the NBA. So unless the Thunder all of a sudden want Donovan Mitchell, I think we're in a really good position, unless the Cavs just say, I don't want to do business with you, right? Unless they pull a Utah. We do have the best war chest draft-wise outside of OKC. So for me, it's like, I think we're still in a great position, and all Donovan has to do is say, wherever I'm traded, I'm leaving to go to New York in free agency. Once he does that, it will make it immensely harder for the Cavs, and it'll make it abundantly easier for us.
I don't know if I see him forcing his way, but it's not like it's never been done.
No, I'm saying next year is his last year before free agency. I don't think it's forcing to say, hey, wherever I go, I'm going to leave in free agency.
But that's basically forcing his way to
trade him. I mean, Kawhi made it clear, I'm leaving. And
they
would have to really trust that he could do what Kawhi did. Yeah.
Hey, quick question before we get out of here. Juwan and Joel, see this question here, and this your thoughts on this.
That's a different
I
issue.
would say no, because to me that creates more problems, and I say that because Zach is a risk taker as far as his shooting decisions. And I have enough of that with Julius Randle. So I need smart decision makers with the ball.
And we also have issues currently with their agency. What's his agency?
Rich Paul.
Yes.
Oh yeah. There's issues.
Yeah, we're working through that. That's also an issue with DeJounte Murray, not just Zach LaVine.
Right.
I wouldn't be against it, but it's also like I don't. He's getting paid a lot of money,
Indeed.
and he's currently hurt. And he stay hurt, and it's like one of those things where right now it's not the need that it was. And again, maybe last year we would different story, but right now where we're going, I think it's probably better off somewhere else.
I'd much rather go after DeJounte so that if the Cavs do make Donovan available, I could flip DeJounte and maybe Quentin Grimes or whatever, and some draft consideration for him.
DeJounte, he's now like the main. Who wants him? I got him.
100%. Just dangle him around. But no, DeJounte with OG Anunoby this year.
Nice.
I'd love to see that. Very much so. Very much would love to see that.
Interesting. And there it is. Appreciate that, guys. So we'll have a happy new year to everyone, man. Hope you guys have a happy, safe new year.
Same.
I think we talked about it beforehand. Before Juwan, think about it. You got any big plans? Well, or it's to be decided. I told y'all what I am not going to do. So
yeah, my plans got canceled. I'm happy. I'm home now.
Oh wow, that was fast. That was 2 hours.
Indeed. Well, you guys enjoy your day. Appreciate you coming through, and happy New Year to all. And happy New Year to everybody who's checking us out. So till next time, we out of here. Thank you.